22nd of February. Do you want to start again?
Becky's under there, isn't there?
We do need to fill the hour, otherwise we'll have time to kill.
Welcome councillors, welcome members of the public, officers to the planning meeting of this day, the 22nd of February. Let's start with the first item on the agenda, which is apologies for absence.
We have apologies from councillors Ken Arlett, the Mayor Sarah Miller, Councillor Tom Buckley, Councillor Stefan Gapshat, and we have Councillor Kelly Linton substituting.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is number 2, declarations of interest. Do you have any this evening? No, I see none. So let's move on to item number 3, which is the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on the 1st of February. We'll have a proposal for acceptance. Thank you, Councillor Clark. Seconded by Councillor Clark. Thank you. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. And item number 4, which is public participation. Do we have anyone who would like to speak to address the planning committee this evening? Yes. Would you like to stand and state your name and which item you're speaking to, and then 2 to 3 minutes whenever you're ready.
Can I just ask if it's better to talk now? I want to talk to the Premier Inn application.
Yeah, now.
Later
please.
on. Now?
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Right. David Curran, 31 Church Street. I'm here tonight, or both as to talk individually, but mainly as a member of the Transport Strategy Group with responsibility with Fiona Hewer for the development of Henley Car Club. Thank you for letting me speak to the meeting this evening. I hope you've all received my email that Jodie forwarded, plus the attachment, which was my objection that I've already submitted on this application. As well as objecting because the plans conflict with local planning policies, I've turned to the National Planning Policy Framework, the NPPF, which states that, with regard to planning policies and decisions, opportunities to improve air quality or mitigate impacts should be identified, such as through traffic and travel management and green infrastructure provision and enhancement. So, what it's about is mainly identifying the opportunities for mitigating impacts in this particular application. Can I direct your attention to my 4 reasons for objecting related to traffic and transport? I've just focused on this aspect. I'm leaving it to others to comment on other areas of the application. The points that I'm making are similar to those made in the Henley Town Council submission on the 13th of July 21, except that I'm making the point that the problems generated regarding loss of parking, increased pollution and congestion, etc., can be mitigated by providing electric car club cars. The application, 1, fails to adequately mitigate the additional pollution and congestion caused by vehicles travelling to and from the new hotel. And it does the car club cars mitigate that because they're all zero or low emission cars. 2, fails to propose measures to encourage people to travel to the hotel by sustainable transport, i.e. train, mainly being the one in this case, rather than by car. So car club cars in the vicinity of the hotel enable people then to travel by train, and then if they wish to get out into the surrounding area, they can hire a car club car to do that rather than travelling direct by car. 3, it fails to mitigate the loss of parking spaces within the application site boundary of the station car park. The loss of spaces can be mitigated by reducing pressure on on-street parking spaces in the vicinity. And this can be achieved by providing more car club cars for residents. In the most recent annual report on car clubs for 2020, it's estimated that 18.5 private cars are removed for every car club vehicle. Encouraging residents to use car club cars at the station would free up parking spaces in the vicinity. One mistake on my part, as an aside, is that in my submission you'll see I only asked for 2 electric car club cars. It should really have been 3. If you want 50 parking spaces, if there's 50 parking spaces being lost, then it will take 3 car parks to remove over 50 cars from our roads. So point 4, it makes it more difficult. So this is about the failings in the application. Point 4, it makes it more difficult to achieve national and local greenhouse gas emission targets. Car clubs help in the move to a low carbon economy. The research quoted above, each car club car eventually replacing 18.5 individually owned cars, could mean a significant reduction in the transport carbon footprint of the town. The provision of electric car club cars in this development, if it goes ahead, could be transformative for Henley Car Club. It will allow many residents without off-street parking to access an electric car in an affordable way, whilst at the same time making a significant step in Henley's ambitions to move to a low carbon economy. So what I'm asking for is that Henley Town Council can specifically mention the mitigation of impacts that the new hotel will make, and that the provision of electric car club cars is asked for in the comments that are made on the revised application. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Pine, a question or comment?
Yeah, sorry, is that the finance for 3 car club cars, or you actually want 3 car spaces?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Is that the finance for 3 cars, or do you actually want 3 spaces for the cars?
No, it's 3 spaces. It's wanting 3 spaces. Which don't necessarily have to be on the hotel site,
Yeah.
but in the station car park or close by.
Yeah, fine.
Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Clark.
So at the moment, David, you've got one along Reading Road and one at the back of the town hall. So that's 2 cars you've got there. You want to get another 3 cars on the road?
Yeah. The sooner we can move to 5 cars and 10 cars, then you'll really start to see a car club making an impact.
I've got just one question on the actual scheme itself. When we looked into this as a family for this particular car club, you have to subscribe for the whole year instead of just being able to hire it for a day, which is different to like zip cars, for instance, where you can just hire for a day. Why have you chosen that particular scheme instead of a hire per day, a subscription scheme, where you have to commit to the whole year?
Well, I'm not sure that committing to the whole year. In fact, you can suspend your membership, and there isn't a membership charge if you're, if you're going on. There is a £1 joining fee at the moment till the end of April, and then you do just book it as and when you want.
Okay. Perhaps we misunderstood that then. We'll take it up.
That's something that there isn't a. I know that I joined then I joined the Co-workers Car Club when we went on holiday to the Lake District. The Lake District Authority were supporting car club cars, so we went up by train and hired the Co-workers Car Club car there and then. Came back having joined Co-workers Car Club in order to do this, and then the nearest Co-workers cars are in Reading, so couldn't see that we were going to use them, so I just suspended our membership, and then when we started the car club here, I then just picked it up again. So you don't have to be, there's no membership fee as such.
Yeah. Well, I think there's an argument to do this whether there's a hotel or not. Anyway.
Oh yes.
I digress.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on. Thank you for that contribution. I just wanted to check you didn't want to speak. No.
No, thank you.
No. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to number 5 on the agenda, which is plans amended. So please turn to page 13. Okay, the first item on plans amended is P21 SS117. It's a householder application for 83 Hartston Road. Jodie.
This has actually been granted planning permission, so you
Ah.
don't need to comment.
You know, I only looked at this yesterday and I didn't see that. No, it was Sunday I looked at it. Okay,
We recommended approving last time.
yeah. Thank you. All right, the next one on the agenda is P21 S2618. It's a full application and it's for Henley Railway Station Car Park, aka Premier Inn. Jodie.
Yeah, so it's considered that limited changes have been proposed as part of the amended plans to take into account concerns raised by the committee last time. The design and access statement states it's not feasible to drop the full story from the building and introduce pitch roofs, so they've instead just reduced it by half a metre. Going on to materials, they've reconsidered the materials and changed the grey cladding to. Did you have a question for that?
Yeah, why is it not feasible to drop a floor because of the design and access statement?
It's stated in the design and access statement.
Yeah,
obviously
okay.
saying it's
Fine,
not.
yeah, okay, so I was like, well,
Reduce-
there's a reason other than just.
No, that's
Yeah,
I'm
fine,
just picking
sorry.
it up. From that.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So they reconsidered the cladding and they've changed that to metal. However, I feel that this still does not address the concerns by the conservation officer. I just wanted to pick up on the conservation officer's point about other new buildings in the surrounding, such as the Imperial Court and Hallmark House, which themselves don't have no particular architectural merit, but they have responded to the character of the area and are different in scale, so that could be provided here as well. I note that the landscape officer's got a holding objection to the amended plans. There's insufficient information about additional planting, and they're also concerned about the forward location of the building. They have not changed the amount of car parking spaces provided, and we're separately looking at the section 6 contribution, but we can talk about that if you wish. Thank you.
Okay, councillors. Yes, councillor Romans.
I think it's fair to say that the amendments go nowhere near taking into consideration the objections we raised previously. Reducing the height of a building by 50 centimetres, come on. It's just an absolute insult, to say the least. Looking at the point about the building materials, well, I'm sorry, but I don't care whether it's metal cladding or plastic cladding. I'm not an expert on cladding, but as far as I'm concerned, cladding is just a filthy word at the moment. And I certainly wouldn't trust any developer to put cladding on a building based on what's happened in recent times. The point regarding the car parking space, well, that's not been changed. As far as I'm concerned, it's trying to put lipstick on a pig, really. That's me being polite. So as far as I'm concerned, nothing's been taken into consideration. Yeah, based on all of the concerns which Jodie has raised and which Mr. McEwen has raised, I think they're all suitable ground for saying no thank you once again.
Thank you. Seconded? Yeah. By councillor Plant. Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak?
I think we just strongly need to say that unless they're going to consider coming down the floor, I think there's no way that this town council will support the application irrelevant of how it looks. In my honest opinion, I think when they say new pallet and planters, I think it actually looks worse. It's just a massive red brick, and in their design statement, they've sort of, they've noted the Imperial Court and a few other nice ones, but they've just gone into most of the hideously designed buildings that surround it and say, hey, look, we're just as bad as all of these, basically what they've said in the design statement. You know, the hub is pretty ugly, but it's only 2 or 3 floors. So I think, the only way that we could represent our residents even remotely is if they come down the floor, and until they can listen to that.
Yes, I mean, the councillors, we are very, very concerned about the, the amount of bedrooms that are in this proposed hotel. 115 is more akin to a large town and city, not to a small market town. We just don't have the road infrastructure to cope with that amount of beds.
I think in the defence of that, not that I want a big hotel, I think it probably comes in anyway, which is why we've seen such an influx in Airbnb and other hotel bookouts. I think the need and desire is already here. The chap who presented was very good at saying we already have the statistics to know that the demand is there. Let's face it, hotels don't build, well, big chains like this don't build in areas that they haven't already assessed the demand to be relevant. They said they had 87% capacity or something to that effect nationwide.
80.
So they're not stupid, but I think they can afford to come down at least a floor. And I think the difficult thing is with the parking and the traffic is actually, if this just means that we're getting 100 or 90 odd people to stay in one place rather than on every residential road around town in an Airbnb, maybe it actually helps the problem. But I think they need to address the design problem.
Thank you. Councillor Clark, you wanted to speak?
I have brought this up before, Madam Chairman. Why don't Premier Inn look at the Imperial Hotel, which is about 20 rooms there, and the offices off the Fair Mile, which used to be the Oxford Hospital, they want to build 72 flats there. So what do they combine the two? They would have at least 100 flats.
Developers can only do what they can buy, and they don't own either of them.
Well, it's through traffic coming through from Portsmouth, Southampton, Dover, travelling up north. They've got somewhere to stop overnight.
Yeah,
And
this
it's
is,
not-
this is,
It's not far to
Yes.
walk.
Ian, I can't
Yeah,
move into
Mark.
your, I can't move into
Hotel.
your home because I don't own your home, so, you know, it's chalk and cheese, they can't do something they can't do.
this, it's a joint venture between Blockwork and Premier Inn. And obviously, you know, they just are not interested in pursuing any other avenues, but hopefully if this gets, you know, turned down, then perhaps they will have to be forced to look at other avenues. So I have to, one of the points that I actually wanted to make was, and check with our planning officer, our emerging neighbourhood plan, did we actually put the emerging plan policy actually into our observations last time?
No, we recommended to remove that policy from the main plan.
Really?
Yeah, the bed space, hotel bed
Yeah.
spaces has been removed. It's obviously out of consultation, so that could change when it goes to examination, but
Right.
the Labour Plan Committee agreed to remove that policy.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm just wondering if we should actually put that in there, that that's been
It
removed.
wouldn't hold much weight because of the progress of the neighbourhood plan. If that was actually
Okay.
adopted, you can, it would have some weight, but minimal, but
I think it's worth putting in. I think councillors.
I think we've got a
do you think?
relatively robust case already. I think they're just going to keep pushing back at us. This is just going to be a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's,
Yeah. Mm.
we're going to see this many more times.
Yeah, okay, so we have a motion for refusal on many of the grounds that we've discussed.
can I just check if you wanted to state what Councillor Plant said about supporting you coming down the floor, or do you want to keep the recommending refusal on the scale, because that could open you up to next time when they've reduced to.
I think we need to mention, whether we go 2 or 1, I don't mind, but I think we need to mention floors, because otherwise we're going to waste our time. They're going to keep coming back with, oh, we're not cladding with this, with that, with the other. And until we're actually until you reduce an actual floor, there is no way our residents are going to remotely support this. And I don't think we could either. At least then, if it does go through, we can go back to the surrounding residents and say, look, we've got a floor off the thing, or even 2.
Yeah, there's two, you know, overriding concerns about this. And the first one is the scale and massing, i.e. the number of floors there are, and also the design. It needs to be more vernacular in its approach to respond to the conservation area and the listed buildings. That is up my hierarchy of planning.
I'm just not sure how much grounds we have on that, because their design statement, if you've read it, or you probably have read it, it's so comprehensive. They literally listed every building and every view from around.
I don't buy that at all. I absolutely don't buy that at all. You know, these consultants can say whatever they want.
No, of course.
But at the end of the day,
Of
the
course.
hierarchy is definitely listed assets and conservation area. That is the overriding hierarchy.
No, it's just giving it
And they're looking, what they're doing in that design consultation paper is actually looking at existing buildings. This is a brand new building, so therefore they have to actually respond to the hierarchy. So we just need some clarification on these floors then.
whether we
To
said 2 or
councillors,
1.
what would you like to do? Would you
I
actually
would
want to
like it
state?
to be refusable, because we're going to lose 50, 60 car parking spaces, which we desperately need in this
Yeah.
town.
I don't want us to start haggling over how many
No.
floors are coming down. I think we just have to nip this in the bud and say,
No.
Outright
no
refusal.
means no.
Okay.
I don't
Um,
really mind the height, the look. I mean, I'm going to see it from my kitchen window, my bedroom window, my daughter's window every day. I will walk out of my house and I will see it. I will hear it being built for ages. It will be massively loud. and inconvenient, just like the railway works. But we massively need the budget rooms in Henley. We need people visiting. We need the people not just to visit Henley. We want them to stay in Henley. We want them to spend their money here. We want them to go down to the adventure golf and use that. We want them to go into our restaurants and spend money there. So come by train, come by car, and spend your money. I get the points about the floor. I agree with that. I think that makes sense. We don't necessarily need 115 bedrooms. But I have to say, as somebody that will be looking at this every day for the foreseeable future, if it happens, if it materializes, and will face the discomfort of the build, personally, I'm not opposed to it.
Okay.
I'm not strong enough to vote against.
Yeah.
Vote against it going through. I would massively support coming down a level, but as much as I feel that we have to keep the tradition of Henley, the heritage of Henley, also I feel we also have to develop. We have to move with the times. We do have to build more houses because people are still living 3 generations in one household because we don't have enough social housing in Henley. We don't have enough affordable housing in Henley. And so we do need more houses. They have to get built. Otherwise, stop having children. Don't keep having children and generations and then say we don't want houses.
We're just talking
Our
about
infrastructure,
hotel.
I know, but it's just it winds me up. So all I'm saying is I'm for progress actually, and I think that I think it would be. It's an addition to the town that I've thought several times over the last 5 years. I'm struggling to find a decently priced hotel room for family or friends. I wish we had this in Henley. So I'm not massively. I'm not going to vote with it because I'm not strongly in favour.
Okay.
May I say one thing? You're on about homes for resident people, but that is a Premier Inn.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying in
Rent that
general.
out all year round? No. I'm
No,
sorry.
no.
David,
Please don't address each other.
Oh, yeah,
Please
sorry,
talk through the chair, please. Okay. Yes, Councillor Clark, one more time, and then I'm going to ask the proposer to sum up.
I very much, my preference would be to mention something about it needs at least 1 reduction in floor level and a change to the vernacular.
Okay, well, you've got a proposed amendment to the original motion. Do you accept the proposed amendment, or do you want to stick to your original proposal?
I prefer to stick to my original proposal.
Okay, all right then.
I'll still
So,
take that one.
okay. All right then, so let's put this to the vote then. All those in favour of refusal? All those against?
I'm just going to abstain.
Abstain. Okay, thank you, that's carried.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
What happens to my proposal?
I think we'll just make sure that it's added in because we're refreshing, we're just repeating what we've done before. And I do believe that, if I'm right, that the officer has already put that in her proposal anyway.
Yeah, 106.
Thanks.
It's the last statement.
But thank you for coming this evening, we very much appreciate it. And I will email you about the confusion. I
Yes,
think it's probably on our part then.
well, happy to.
Thank you.
Discussing it.
Councillor Pines, you do a question?
Can we not get them to come back in and do like a focus group with a few councillors? Nothing, can't do anything like that. Beyond that stage now.
No, I asked.
Oh,
if
you're
they
talking
wanted
about
to
Premier
attend.
Inn? Yes, we did invite them, didn't we, to attend?
They already have a few times.
I know they have a few.
They were, quite a few councillors were pretty rude to them. I mean, I
that's
would
it.
I would want to come back
No,
here.
no,
as well.
exactly. So just a more constructive. Going to work it, let's collapse, because it is bad. Like if someone comes and we just shoot it down, all that will happen with this is it'll bypass us. We'll recommend refusal. They'll go straight to SADC, and we'll potentially have something forced.
I think we've already got to that stage.
Yeah, but then I will feel personally that we've done our residents a disservice because we've got no, and if we end up with 5 floors, I think we should have tried harder.
It's very, very little we can do really. I mean, you can try as hard as we want, but you know, it's always out of our hands, unfortunately, because we're not the planning authority. Right, okay, let's move on, councillors. We're on agenda item 6, which is plans new. We've got the first one on the agenda is P21 S5245. It's a full application for the bill on Bell Street. Jodie.
Yeah, so you considered the list of buildings we did last time and recommended approval, sorry. And so this is just a full application for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I thought I'd seen it before.
You probably need to
Deja
agree to
vu.
that.
Yeah,
Maybe
agree.
you want to agree to recommend approval.
No, if we've seen it before, we don't need to do that, do we?
It's a different application.
We did the list of
Oh,
building last
okay,
time.
all right then.
Normally they're together, and there's one on this one that's separate as well. but yeah,
Okay,
approval.
proposal.
Yeah.
Approval, seconded, thank you. Any other council want to speak? Okay, all those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. Okay, the next one on the agenda is P22 S0217. It's a householder application for 203 Grays Road. Jodie.
Yeah, so this is quite a large front story extension with charcoal cladding that might conflict with the appearance of the host dwelling and the character of the area. However, I do note that it's not in a conservation area and it's on a large plot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Plant.
I quite like it. Approval.
Okay, thank you, seconded. Thank you, councillor Raymond. Would any other councillor like to speak? No, okay, all those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. And the next one is a listed building application, P22 S0307 for Merchant's House, 95 Bell Street. Jodie.
If this is a grade 2 listed building and there's no heritage objections, no objection.
Okay, thank you, councillor Plant.
It is a tiny section of wall, if you look on the inside plan, so yeah, approve. I noticed some comments that might change the character, but I think the wall they're removing is about as wide as I am. So.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Romans, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, thank you. All those in favour of approval? Thank you, that's carried. The next one is P22 S0326. It's a full application for Everley House, 38 Hart Street. Jodie.
Yes, so I just wanted to make you aware of the environmental protection team's comments that's requested a number of conditions to ensure that the proposal is not unneighbourly, including ensuring that the extended hours revert back after a 12-month period, that the extended opening times do not apply outside of April to September, and that there's screening in place and no music in the courtyard.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Plant.
Clarification on the revert back. Do they need to reapply then every 12 months to get the extended hours between April and September? Why can't it just be a rolling 12-month variation that April to September they have it open for longer?
So I think they would agree what the 12 months would be in the first place.
Fine.
It wouldn't apply between
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay, fine.
So between that period, they would have to reapply.
Gotcha.
afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Any proposals? Yes.
Approve
councillor
in line
Plant.
with those recommendations.
Subject to those conditions.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay, seconded. Councillor Romans, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour of approval subject to the conditions listed. Thank you, that's approved. And the next one is P22 S0393, listed building application for 7 to 9. It's the Catherine Wheel, 7 to 9 Hart Street. Jodie.
I have no objection, subject to satisfaction of the conservation officer.
Thank you. Councillor Plant.
Yeah, approval, exactly that. It's nice to see that so many town centre locations are utilising their outside space
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
nicer. Yeah, I think it's nice. Any town centre is certainly on the up.
Yeah, it's a fine balance, isn't it? Because it's a very heavily populated area as well. Lots of residents around those areas.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's kind of like we have it with our building. It's like I think town centres need to be used primarily, like we always say, for employment and business and stuff like that. First, you know, if you choose to live in the centre of town, you get
And
pubs and you
live
get noise and
alongside,
you
yeah.
understand you're gonna have sound till 11 p.m. You get the street sweeper every Monday morning at 4 a.m. So
4 a.m.
4 a.m. on Monday,
Wow.
street sweeper goes around.
That's impressive, isn't it? Okay, so we've got, are you seconding?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour? Subject to the conservation officer. Thank you, that's approved. And the next item is P22 S0423. It's a householder application and it's for 81 Deanfield Road. Jodie.
So the Highways Authority do not have any objections. It's not listed on the conservation area, so I have no objection.
Thank you, councillor Plant.
Approval. I think I always didn't have an objection. They had something that needed to be maintained or kept.
Yeah, they have conditions.
That was
don't
it.
they?
Yeah, they definitely had a condition. So as long as that condition is met, yes.
Okay, thank you. Seconded? Yes, thank you, councillor Clark. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, so let's put this to the vote then. All those in favour of approval, subject to the conditions of the highways officer? Thank you, that's carried. And the next one is actually in 3 different parts. We've got P22 S0424, it's a full application. P22 S0426, advertising consents. And then over the page on page 16, we've got P22 S0440, listed building. Are you all okay to take these in one go?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Jodie, would you like to speak to this first? These 3 first?
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, this is a grade 2 listed building. The fabric, retractable awning and a hanging sign is proposed, which would comply with this shop front design guide. Handwritten lettering might be preferred, but other similar lettering to what is proposed can be found in other shop fronts. So I have no objection.
May I just clarify something on the design guide? It was pointed out to me that the conservation area should have swan lighting.
I'm not sure we've been that consistent.
Yeah,
That's the
no.
issue.
Because the swan lighting is starting to appear in different parts of Marketplace.
Yeah,
I personally like it, but
yeah, I was thinking at some point we need to maybe look at the shopfront guide again, because I think we've discussed it quite a few times with different bits where it's like, oh, but actually it looks really good and it's here and then it's like, maybe we just need to relook at what is okay and isn't okay, because this one is in like conflict on 1 or 2 points, but actually it looks really smart. The signs are basically replacing what was there before, the hanging signs on the same bracket that was there before, and the lighting is used extensively around town.
Yeah, they're reviewing the design guide at the moment, which includes a section on the shop front. So I was going to clarify where the existing one stands. So it could be a good opportunity to raise that with SODC. That I can do that.
yeah, let's do that.
I think there's only one on this, the listed building, they wanted to see what fixings were being used, and that was it. Otherwise approval.
Okay. Thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you, councillor Hinton. Would any other councillor like to speak? Yes, councillor Clark. go
My
ahead.
main concern, Madam Chairman, is the awning, the fascia, the hanging sign and the board on the pavement.
That's all of it.
Well, to me, that's too much. Miles too much.
Okay. So
But the awning, the awning and the board wouldn't be on the floor, they'd be obviously up high anyway, so they're not obstructing the pavement at all.
And the
No,
awning
you've got the awning,
Yeah,
the fascia on the front of the shop.
yeah,
Then you've got an hanging sign under
Yeah.
the awning, and then also you've got a millboard on the pavement,
and an A board.
an A board, that's what it says here. In the paperwork.
A boards aren't, I don't think that was.
Just A-boards aren't part of planning.
No.
signage board, it says.
Yeah, signage board and A board, they wouldn't give permission for because it's obstruction of the pavement. Just leave that in.
You don't mean the one that's at the side of the building, do you?
You haven't got what's on there, you know, the fascia sign, the hanging sign,
I didn't
and
take
the
it.
signage board.
I think you're referring to the one that's
Like a
on the side of
rectangular
the
one.
building. Yeah, it's off the floor, yeah. I mean, the awning is retractable and it's pretty similar to what was there before with the H Cafe. So I think we have to be consistent here and, yeah. But that's up to you, councillor, if you want to go against.
Also,
Yes,
they've got
councillor
it's up for conversation, I suppose, to have the 4 tables like H Cafe did before them. So, you know, you want that coverage
Yeah.
as well. really.
Plus, if you haven't been to Gales, it's great.
No, I haven't.
Have you not been to Gales?
No.
Oh, Gales are so good.
What's so good about Gales?
Bread's amazing. I feel bad for anyone else in Hendon that sells bread. That is the only bad thing they are done for.
Okay, we'll see. I think I like Frank Belch.
No, so like, the Gales in Windsor, there's like a queue down the street for it all the time.
Hello, how can we help?
Sorry to interrupt, can I leave this? I don't want to put it through the letterbox and leave it open.
Yes, of course. Sorry. Okay, so we have you've made a motion for approval. It's been seconded by councillor Romans. Would any other councillor like to speak? No, we've done that bit. Okay. So all those in favour? All those against? Thank you. Okay, turning to page 16, I'm going to take these next two together. We've got P22 S0436, a full application, and P22 S0438, listed building consent, both for 12 Marketplace News.
Yeah, I have no objections to the satisfaction of the conservation officer.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hart.
Exactly that.
Okay, thank you. Seconded by councillor Romans. Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? No? Okay, all those in favour of approval, subject to the conservation officer. Thank you, that's approved. And last but not least is P22 S0508. It's listed building consent for flat 2A, Wharf Lane. Councillor.
Yeah, approval. This is just 2 back to 1, so yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you, councillor Romans. Would any other councillor like to speak? Okay, all those in favour of approval. Okay, thank you, that's carried.
It's going to make it like a £3 million.
I love those boat houses, they're lovely.
Real
aren't they?
stuff.
Stunning. Right, let's move on to item 7 on the agenda, which is any objections and calling applications. Yes, councillor Rowland.
Premier Inn's concrete Lego set, please.
Yeah, that's already called in
That's
that one
already-
actually,
Oh, has it
so
already?
we're safe.
Right.
Yeah, no, nothing else.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on then to note the decision notices from the planning authority on pages 17 to 18. Would you like to note those? Thank you, councillors. And next on the agenda is number 9, which is the appeal response. And we have 2 that have come to Henley. We've got P21 S1226 householder, which is 40. I think that one is. We've got 3.
Yeah, so there's a household in this building, 40 Grace Hill,
40 Grays Hill, yeah.
and then there's
Oh, I see. There's 2.
close, so it's two
Sure.
different
Okay, I've got you, yeah. Okay, so let's take these one at a time. So Henley Town Council response to the first one, which is
yeah, so
40 Grace Hill, is recommended refusal.
on grounds of overdevelopment being out of character. And I just wanted to pick up that SODC reason refusal included the loss of historic fabric and a negative alteration to the character and appearance of the listed building, which we didn't include in this.
And both.
Yeah, but we obviously agree, we always agree with the conservation
Yes,
officer.
so we could add those in.
Yeah, okay, so our councillor's happy for the Henley Town Council Planning Officer to make the response and it to be approved by myself.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, was that fine? Is that okay with you? Would you like anyone else to approve that with me?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is P21 S3826, and it's a full application and it's for 18 Harcourt Close. Jodie, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, so the committee raised quite a few concerns last time, including overdevelopment, the design overlooking and the impact on parking. Again, I just referred to the reasons for refusal by SODC, which also referred to hard landscaping, out of character and appearance of the surrounding built form, and the impact of the proposed communal garden area on the neighbours' amenity, which we didn't directly refer to. So these could be added to the committee motion.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, so again, I'll propose from the chair that, I mean, obviously our response is going to be exactly the same as before. So I propose that the Henley Town Council Planning Officer drafts the response and it's approved by myself. Is that acceptable to councillors?
Yeah, the view about the communal garden's quite good. We haven't thought about that. It's going to create noise and all sorts, isn't it, on the neighbours around.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on to the next item on the agenda, which is number 10, premises licence. This is for 35 Hart Street. Now, I don't know about you councillors, but unfortunately, when I went to click on the link, the server was down. We've got copies here, but if anybody has to say,
It's still not working now.
it's not working. Let's pass it around then. Not much information apparently. Oh,
Sorry. There is an objection. I'm going to declare an interest and not vote on.
oh, okay.
that.
Okay.
Well, not, it's not personal interest. Yeah, I think that because I chair licensing at district, if you guys decide against this, it could go to a panel that I chair.
Of course.
So I'd just like to stay out of the discussion.
Okay, thanks. All right, we'll note that on the minutes as well, thank you. Okay, so this is a pending decision, 35 Hart Street. Jodie, did you want to speak to this?
I didn't have anything really. It just says that opening
No, can I just ask what establishment this is?
This is a wine bar. It's the new wine bar that's just been written up by Philippa. It's got a really cool name. I wish I could remember it right now.
It's a wine bar.
Yeah, but it's basically where you can buy sort of high-end-ish wines, obviously there, or you can drink them while you're there. So you can either buy by the glass, buy by the bottle. It's got some snacks and some other bits. There's extensive writing about it.
It's not
currently.
stable.
No.
No.
Oh, it's cool. Drink all you pour. You drink. It's called something that is quite witty, but I can't remember what it is.
I know what it is.
You
I
are
went
what
to
you
licensing and it was the one I actually.
But it looks actually like
It
really
was
on all the writing about it so far. It looks good. Two local chaps wishing to do it. It's going to be French and Italian wines with some snacks and some stuff like that. It's going to be like the cheesy grape, but more winey.
Have they got any outside space out the back where residents are?
Not that it says in the application. We'll go come in and talk about it. It's probably quite straightforward.
Okay, so it's from 9 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. Essentially, that is literally what we're looking at here, Monday to Sunday. Can someone help me out here with, because I don't go to pubs and things, so I don't know what.
So it's effectively almost no different to Majestic in the fact, well, it's slightly different because Majestic shuts at maybe 10 or something like that. So rather than a Majestic
cheesy grape, really,
that does like wine tastings and stuff like that, it's a much
But
smaller.
I'm not talking about what their business is. I'm talking about the licensing side of it. We're just asked to comment on the timings here. I mean, on a Sunday, is it acceptable, for instance, to be open until 11 PM? Do people?
Yeah, the
know?
normal legal licensing.
That's absolutely.
Yeah.
It's normally closed at
That's
11.
it, and that's sort of the same as other places in Henley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right. Well, that's my questions answered. Councillors, what's your proposal? Councillor Plant.
Approval. We should
Okay.
support-
I'll back it.
I think we should support new stuff.
Okay. Seconded by Councillor Romans. Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Yes,
My
Councillor
main
Clark.
concern is people getting drunk and disorderly and causing problems.
We can get that
I
out
did
of
do
the
it earlier.
spoons outside all the pubs. It's not a planning concern, really, is it?
Especially with that a week.
That certainly isn't a planning concern.
Okay. All right. Let's put this to the vote then. All those in favour of approval. And that's approved because Councillor Hinton is abstaining. All right, thank you. Let's move on then.
Yeah. Especially if they don't get a license. Be a wine store that doesn't fall.
Okay, let's move on then to number 11, which is where is councillor?
It's called the store that pours.
Right, number 11, Community Land Trust. This is a report that's been written for us by Kath. Would you like to speak to this on pages 19 to 22?
Yeah, so just briefly, as previously explained, the Community Land Trust steering group has been moving towards incorporating itself. We did get some funding from, and I think it was through the government, from the Oxfordshire Collaborative Housing Hub, but it's not going to be sufficient to get the professional advice that we need to incorporate and possibly for other fees that come up. And so the CLT would like to request the allocation of up to £1,000 of SIL money. The council is currently holding £124,277 of unallocated SIL funds. And the council would still hold it and would pay the invoices direct because the CLT isn't incorporated yet. We can't incorporate until we've had legal advice to incorporate, and then we can't have a bank account until we incorporate. So we're sort of stuck in a chicken and egg situation really with funding. And I did discuss this with the accountant and the town clerk, and it seemed that SIL was the preferable way to go to see if we could get some funds to help us incorporate.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councillor Hinton.
As somebody that doesn't normally sit on plans, but is a sort of background support, particularly of the Community Land Trust, I think we should be supporting it actually in any way that we possibly can, and making it as easy as possible as we can for the Community Land Trust as well. And I just thought, it should be as simple really as just come to the meeting saying we need money supporters. But I really, for somebody that's not on the committee, really appreciate the amount of detail that was in that report. Asking for £1,000 was incredible, and I learned about it all from start to finish. So yeah, it's I propose that we absolutely go with recommendation to FSM or whatever it was.
Okay, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Plant. Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak?
Amendments just approve a blank check. Just start building. Does 124,000.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion here from Councillor Hinton to approve in its entirety item 5.1 of agenda item number 9, and it's been seconded. So all those in favour? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. And next item on the agenda, which is number 12, which is to note the minutes of the Transport Strategy Group meeting, which was held on the 24th of January. To note that, thank you. And last on the agenda is item 13, and that's the progress report for applications called in at the planning authority. We have any updates that we're aware of. And we haven't got Councillor Arlett here to update us with anything, so
It should be called the Arlett report.
yes, indeed. And in fact, Councillor Arlett isn't with us this evening because he is at an SODC planning committee meeting.
We plan them for the same night all the time.
They're normally on a Wednesday, so I don't know why. Don't know why he's in the planning meeting on Tuesday over there. Okay, that concludes the meeting for this evening. Many thanks for your contributions.
You just
Thank
missed a
you,
hell of a